Привет из Дубая! С вами передача «Голубь мира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about relaxation and let's start with the definition.
When you're working so hard, when you have all time busy, when you're trying to be in all places at same time, when you are responsible for a huge team, when you have a lot of projects, you are always tense and you are always on the high. And if you will stay a long time in this position, maybe you will be ill. Maybe you will have some расстройства,
Dysfunction.
some dysfunctions. Maybe you will have a bad sleep. Maybe you will find yourself беспомощный,
Helpless.
helpless, and you will be definitely unhappy. So sometimes you need to have a rest. But sometimes you could go to Maldives and lay there down for 2 or 3 weeks. But sometimes you're so in a rush that you couldn't go, and you should stay on the ground with your team because you have fight maybe in court, maybe with hard project, maybe against state or maybe tax office. So you could make small holidays, and there are a lot of different ways. I hope we'll discuss them later.
And when it comes to this transition that you actually mentioned from the work mode or like being stressful mode to the relaxation, obviously, what I kind of noticed, like in myself and maybe in the people that surround it, there is always like a buffer when you just like uncertain and you still like trying to like check something whether anything happened to the world. Like how to make sure that when it comes to moving from one stage to another, this buffer, it's actually quite small. Maybe there's like a little preparation, maybe there's like a mental switch that we need to practice and like a master in order to go into mode where we can restore our mind and body.
This is not easy, but I will give you some tricks. If you want to have a rest, the easiest way to do it in the night. So you should make everything that you will be not disturbed, and you could create those nights by yourself. It's not about when sun goes down, but this also could be in a flight mode when you are flying to some customer, to some client. If you will change your location, if you will stay in the hotel, if you will ask for spa procedures, when you will go to sauna, to some cosmetic treatments, you also would have been relaxing. By the way, if you're able, you could order, for example, Thai massage for 6 hours in which is made by 4 hands. You will definitely feel yourself as a man who was resting for a long way. The same you could do with some kind of pills. The same you could do with alcohol. The same you could do with sport. But you should always remember that at some point you should be awaked from your treatment, from your relaxation. So maybe it's not good way to use alcohol or some drugs.
And sometimes like giving the daylight, let's say when we work on something, there's also might be the urge or the need to maybe switch the gears or like do something else, maybe even look at the window in order to get this like a fresh breather of air or maybe like a mental air in order to proceed. So what might be the ways or maybe circumstances where we can use like a little breather in order to get our power or energy back?
First, if you feel that you're stuck in the office, you should find a time to go to some park during lunchtime or maybe early in the morning or maybe late of the night. Second, it is good to have some kind of hobby like aquarium or some pet to walk with like a dog. If you have kids, in those cases, you could spend whole day with them. Yes, you will be emotionally exhausted, but you will have rest from your work. Yes, maybe for several hours you will think about your projects. Maybe you will look into your smartphone. But if you have several kids, they definitely will drop you down from the line, from the wire. Especially if you will go to I don't know how to say чертовое колесо.
Um, observant ring or something like that.
Observant ring, if you go to observant ring, if you go to water park, if you go to ride horses and so on, you should find something which is very unusual. Maybe this would be parachuting, maybe it would be diving. By the way, diving is my best way how to have relaxation in 2 or 3 days.
And when it comes to the physical or maybe a more less physical involved activity, what might be the preference? Like whether it depends on the personality or maybe on like on specific type of the activity itself that gives more power, or maybe even gives more like a headspace for someone to clean their mind. For example, something that I do notice that like people who probably take in more like executive roles, they always would have some sort of like a sport routine, and they actually following it rigorously. So maybe it's also the way to switch the gears or just like get relaxed, or at least like get some space to think.
When I was a manager in the bank, I was working very tough, and I found that one of the best way is to do Ironman. When you are going each day to your sport routine, you should or swim or run or bike or do cycling. In this case, you always think that job is not the toughest thing of your day, and if you run, for example, 10 kilometers or even 20 kilometers early at the morning, starting from 7 or from 4, even 4 o'clock, then you will go to the work and nothing will beat you down. So if you have very hard rhythm of your sport life, in this case your work and your projects, they will become a place to have a rest. On the meetings you will look to the people and they will struggle for something, they will make battles, they will shut out each one another, and you will think, what I'm the happy person, I have no will to make a quarrels.
So when it comes to choosing the right timing or right frequency of the relaxation, should it be something that is thoroughly planned, or there's also should be a room for the ad hoc when we do feel we definitely need to restore our powers?
It depends. When you are staying in your own city, this should be planned, because you could have lack of the time. For example, when I was working in Moscow, I have some friends, and they suddenly will say to me, "Okay, let's find some excursion." And we were going around, I don't know, several kilometers from my home with guides, and they would say something about streets, about dead ends, about some towns and some monuments. But if you will arrive in another city, the best way is to ask somebody local, and they will show you just the best. And when you are turn out of your life, when you have nobody to help, it's also kind of relaxation, because you will be bothering by some very unusual things. I have been several times in Asia, and I was without any translators, and I was under hiding под прикрытием. Undercover, so I couldn't show some of my documents. So I have been doing everything by myself, even calling a taxi, even booking a hotel. And for me, it was also very stressful, because I used to use my several secretaries and drivers and some concierge people. So if you will, for example, go for mushrooms in the forest, if you will go, I don't know, to shoot on the plates, стрелять по тарелочкам, to shoot on the plates.
Shoot on the plates.
Shoot on the plates. It's also something unusual, and even if it would be planned, it's also will take out a job of your mind.
And what to do when you're actually in relaxing mode, whether like you are lying on the bed and doing this Thai massage, or maybe you're doing some sports, or maybe walking. Because something that I found out when I was walking in Moscow by myself, like in night hours, just like to wander the city, I realized it's quite fruitful in terms of the thoughts, because like you're walking, you keep the steady pace, and you're also admiring the architecture. You're also thinking like, who built this, like who was living there, why it's done this way, etc., etc. So mind is just getting pulled with completely different things, smells, people, the speech, and it turns out that this thing actually helps to get like some sort of like a fresh breath. So what should be the behavior of the person who is just like trying to get relaxed, besides of just like the advice for them to just to go let everything go and really relax?
If you will go to unusual place, if you will stay in some part of the city you have never been, you will find a lot of different things you have already mentioned. This is about smells, that about architecture, this is about even colors. You will find some plates on the tablichki plates on the houses.
Plates.
Who was living before, and suddenly you will realize that a lot of famous people were living in the same city. And it's also very funny to go inside of the yards, дворики. Yards?
Courtyards.
Courtyards. You will find some balconies, you will find some ladders, you will find some unusual bushes, you will find some very authentic people which are smoke tubes or maybe smoke shisha or some other. And if you will start talk with them, if they are old enough, they will tell you a story about Second World War, about wars in their country, and you will live so many lives. For example, you can talk to Jewish people, to Armenian, to Georgian, to Turkish, and they will say you a lot of things which you don't know. So you will be so rapidly increase amount of your knowledge that your brain would be totally happy to have it so fast.
And when it comes to the types of the relaxation, we already covered like pretty much all of them, but maybe there's like unusual or maybe even like more effective, because sometimes we also need to understand what are we relaxing for, like what are we actually getting our energy for. So what might be the efficient or maybe even unusual way of getting relaxed?
Very unusual way to go in a restaurant which has name In the Dark. I have been to London, I have been to Moscow, and there is very funny things. This restaurant was made to help other people to understand people who has some problem with eyes, almost blind people. You will be going to restaurant, you will be undressed, you will be seated in room, you will have lunch, and then you will be asked what you have eat, and suddenly you will realize that you couldn't understand what you have eat. And if you will be told, oh, okay, Maxim, you was eating like, I don't know, potato and some grapes and maybe some зеленый горошек, green
Green peas.
suddenly you will realize, yes, it's look like this. But when you will out of this restaurant, it's take you like 30 to 40 minutes. You will be happy that you are healthy. Another way is to go on the roof excursion, especially in St. Petersburg. You will go and you will see amazing architectures. You will see very long streets. You will see people which are very small as ants. You will see smokes from tubes, from chimneys, from trains. You will see like sundown is going to happen and so on. And also it is a great way to go to zoo. If it is, for example, German zoo in Berlin or maybe Moscow zoo, you will see a lot of very funny animals like pandas, like monkeys, like donkeys and so on. And they will feed, then they are almost happy, and you will see that they are doing their life and they don't think that they are captured. They just continue to live.
And when it comes to relaxing, not only by yourself, but like relaxing with your significant others. So what might be the advices, or maybe I would say like mechanics, if it's applicable, to make sure they rest well and you also rest well with them too?
You know, when you are young, you want to have a present by yourself, but when you are getting older, you will understand that it is much pleasant to give gifts to other. You could take your significant one to the shopping mall, and you could say, okay, we could stay here for 10 hours, and you could buy everything what you want. And maybe from first, second, or third time, it would be quite expensive, but after several attempts, it's became just usual things. Okay, I have all the bags, I have all the shoes, I have all wearings and so on. So let's go to see what's new, and maybe you will go to some excursion, maybe you'll go to some cinema, maybe you'll go to some attraction, and suddenly you will realize that simple pleasure is quite enough to be happy. And when you will understand that the most important things not the things but emotions, you will carry them so carefully, and you want them to be remembered.
And I think this is also was a nice segue answering why knowing about relaxation would make the world a better place, because relaxing help us to realize that, like we should care about things that are not really things. А мы рассмотрели навык релаксация и чем он полезен именно вам. Всем мира.